Since the earliest days of humanity, great civilizations have emerged on the pillars of war, ambition, and power. Egypt rose amidst pyramids and chains. Rome conquered with blood, swords, and laws. Babylon shone with arrogance and splendor. Every empire was born under an earthly logic: conquest, domination, brute force. But amidst this history written with violence and selfishness, there is one exception: a people who were not forged by empires, revolutions, or diplomatic pacts. A people whose existence cannot be explained with maps or statistics, but with eternal purpose. Israel wasn't born by human decision. It was born because God decreed it. It's a tiny nation in territory, but immense in significance. It doesn't have great rivers like Egypt, nor natural resources like Arabia, nor the vast expanse of Russia or China. And yet, it is one of the most influential nations in the world. Surrounded by enemies, conflicts, and burning deserts, it remains a shining light, a sign for those who discern the times. How can it be explained that this nation, so young in modern history, is a leader in such advanced areas as medicine, artificial intelligence, agriculture, defense, and technology? How can it be that in a place that lay in ruins for centuries, world-changing discoveries are now flourishing? The explanation isn't in their budgets or their universities. It's at the top, because some knowledge is learned, but others are revealed. There are discoveries that arise from research, and others that come from heaven. And when the divine touches the earth, the desert blooms, science advances with light, and the future is brought forward. In this video, dear listener, we won't just talk about inventions or science. We'll talk about signs, about visible traces that reveal the invisible. Of evidence that, when viewed with an open heart, leaves us speechless. I'll present 10 scientific breakthroughs born in Israel that no other nation has been able to match. Not because Israel is superior, but because the God of heaven has wanted to leave indelible marks on history. This video isn't a tribute to science. It's an invitation to open your eyes, because what you're about to see isn't a coincidence. It's fulfillment. It's a message. It's purpose. The world sees technology, but there's something deeper happening, and you are about to witness it. Israel, a nation of just over 9 million inhabitants, is surrounded by conflict, built on deserts, and constantly threatened by its enemies. But even so, it's a powerhouse, not because of its size nor because of its natural wealth, but because of a wisdom that defies the odds. Wherever Jews have been, economics, medicine, philosophy, and technology have flourished. Since the time of Abraham, through exiles and persecutions, they have carried a destiny that neither empires nor wars could erase. Because God's blessing does not depend on circumstances, but on the eternal covenant. Today, that promise is clearly seen. Israel is leading discoveries that many nations cannot yet understand or achieve. These are world-changing breakthroughs, but they are also signs. Signs that the prophecy is being fulfilled. Signs that wisdom from on high has been poured out once again. Below, we present 10 scientific breakthroughs from Israel that the world has yet to match. Number 1. The pill cam. Seeing where the human eye can't. In 2001, the medical world witnessed a breakthrough that forever transformed gastrointestinal diagnosis. The emergence of the pill cam, a capsule with a microcamera capable of capturing images of the interior of the human body as it moves naturally through the digestive tract. This invention was developed in Israel by the company Given Imaging, founded by optical engineer Gavriel Idan, in collaboration with the Haifa Medical Center and several Israeli hospitals. The fascinating thing is that Idan was not a doctor, but an expert in optics applied to military systems, specifically in vision technology for guided missiles. But in the 1990s, while helping a gastroenterologist colleague find a less invasive way to examine the small intestine, the idea was born: to miniaturize a military camera and turn it into a medical tool. The result was the creation of a capsule measuring just 11 millimeters by 26 millimeters, equipped with a camera, light source, battery, transmitter, and antenna. The pill cam was approved by the FDA in 2001 for use in the United States. Since then, it has been used in more than 2 million clinical procedures worldwide. Renowned gastroenterologist Dr. Paul Swain, a British pioneer in endoscopy who collaborated with the Israeli team in validating the technology, said in a scientific publication, "Capsule endoscopy has been one of the greatest advances in gastroenterology of the 21st century. For the first time, it allowed us to explore previously inaccessible regions of the small intestine without pain or invasive intervention." Similarly, Dr. Eitan Skapa of Sheba Medical Center in Tel HaShomer stated, "This invention is a literal blessing for millions of patients. What once required painful procedures and risk can now be done with a simple pill. And it's not just about technology, it's about redeemed wisdom. A war engineer created a healing tool. The optics designed for destruction were redirected toward life. This is exactly what the prophet Isaiah saw centuries earlier. In Isaiah chapter 45, verse 3, it says, "I will give you hidden treasures and carefully guarded secrets, so that you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, who gives you your name." The pill cam is one of those treasures, hidden for centuries, revealed at just the right time. It didn't just save millions of lives. He also confirmed that when God decides to open the eyes of men, neither the human body nor the soul can continue to hide what it carries within. Issue 2, Drip Irrigation and Saltwater Purification, Israel, the water miracle of the desert. For centuries, the desert was synonymous with death, drought, and agricultural inefficiencies. But in Israel, the desert has blossomed. What seemed hopeless now bears fruit. And this has been possible thanks to two combined advances that no other country has achieved on the same scale. Intelligent drip irrigation and saltwater purification. Drip irrigation. It all began in the 1960s, when Simcha Blas, an Israeli hydraulic engineer, he noticed something unusual about a tree that was growing faster than the others. Upon investigating, he discovered that a leaky pipe was watering it drop by drop. That observation gave rise to the drip irrigation system, which was perfected at Kibbutz Hatzerim and gave rise to Netafim, the company that today leads this technology globally. This system consists of applying water directly to the roots of plants, in minimal but continuous doses, avoiding evaporation, runoff, and waste. Israel grows fruits, vegetables, and vineyards in the middle of the desert, using only 25% of the water that other countries require for the same crops. But they didn't stop there. Today, Israel has incorporated artificial intelligence into irrigation. Through sensors in the soil, satellites, and weather stations, Israeli farmers know when and how much water each plant needs, and everything can be controlled from a mobile phone. Dr. Eli Feinerman of the Volcani Agricultural Research Institute said, "Israel produces more than 60% of its agriculture with less than 10% of the water other nations use. Every drop counts, and that's only possible with technology, discipline, and vision." On the other hand, saltwater purification, turning the impossible into reality. Israel has perfected a technology essential to its survival. Seawater desalination and the purification of brackish groundwater. On the Mediterranean coast, Israel has built the world's most advanced desalination plants. The largest is Sorek 1, operated by IDE Technologies, capable of producing more than 624,000 cubic meters of drinking water per day, supplying millions of people. The process is called reverse osmosis. Seawater is pumped through membranes that separate the salt from the pure water molecules. The result, completely drinkable water, cleaner than that of many springs. But there's more. Israel also reuses more than 85% of its treated wastewater, the highest percentage in the world. And it has succeeded in purifying brackish aquifers in the Negev desert, with high levels of salt and minerals, making them useful for irrigating hardy crops such as tomatoes, dates, pomegranates, melons, and olives. Dr. Raphael Semiat, a water engineering researcher at the Technion in Haifa and an advisor to the Water Authority, said, "Israel has turned seawater, once considered a useless resource for agriculture, into a reliable source of life. No other country has the capacity to purify, recycle, and distribute water with such efficiency." The World Bank recognized it as the global leader in efficient water management, thanks to its combination of innovation, necessity, and visionary policies. Water in the desert. This water miracle is not just an engineering victory. It is a literal fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Isaiah chapter 35, verse 1 says, "The desert and the wasteland will rejoice. The wilderness will be glad and blossom like the rose." In Isaiah chapter 43, verse 20, we also read, "The beasts of the field will honor me, the jackals and the ostrich chicks, for I will give water in the desert, rivers in the wilderness, so that my people, my chosen ones, may drink." And finally, in Isaiah chapter 41, verse 18, it says the following, "I will open rivers in the heights and fountains in the middle of the valleys. I will open pools of water in the desert and springs of water in the dry land." What was once dry land has become a spring. What was once barren now feeds thousands of homes and exports products to dozens of nations. What the world rejected, God used as a sign. Israel has turned drops into rivers and salt into life, not by its own power, but by God's faithfulness. Issue 3. Bone regeneration with nanotechnology, when bone comes back to life. For centuries, medicine has grappled with a constant challenge: how to restore a destroyed bone in cases of bone cancer, severe trauma, infections, or malformations. The only solution was to remove the affected bone and replace it with a titanium prosthesis or with grafts from other bones in the body. These procedures are invasive, painful, and often fail to integrate properly into the body. But in Israel, a group of scientists and doctors has taken a step that seems like science fiction, creating real human bone in the laboratory from the patient's own cells, using advanced nanotechnology and regenerative bioengineering. How does it work? Bonus Bio Group, in collaboration with hospitals such as the Rambam Healthcare Campus in Haifa, developed an innovative procedure in which stem cells are extracted from a patient's fatty tissue. These cells are grown in the laboratory and combined with a porous three-dimensional structure made from biodegradable materials compatible with the body. This cellular scaffold is molded exactly to the shape of the missing bone, for example, part of the jaw, skull, or leg, and implanted into the body. There, it begins to produce living, functional bone tissue. Unlike traditional implants, this new bone fully integrates into the body, grows, adapts, and is not rejected. Dr. Shay Moretsky, scientific director of Bonus Bio Group and a pioneer in the project, explained, "For the first time in history, we can restore human bone not with artificial materials, but with living tissue created from the patient's own cells. We're not replacing bone, we're helping the body regenerate itself." One of the most emblematic cases was published in the Jerusalem Post in 2020, an Israeli patient with a severe jaw fracture, who had lost more than 50% of his bone, was treated with this method. Within 12 weeks, the bone was completely regenerated. The patient regained speech, normal eating, and his facial structure without the need for external transplants. Another patient with bone loss due to cancer in the tibia was able to walk again after receiving the regenerative implant. It wasn't a prosthesis. It was his own body recreating what had been lost. Therefore, nanotechnology-assisted bone regeneration is a foretaste of something greater, a sign that the God of Israel not only heals, but restores. And just as he is regenerating bones in the physical, he is also raising spiritual bones in the prophetic, a people that lives again, a nation that rises, a body that is resurrected. Number 4. The Iron Dome, Israel's invisible shield. Nowhere in the world has a defensive system saved so many lives in such a short time as the Iron Dome. Developed by Israel under constant war pressure, this anti-missile system has been described by military and scientific experts as the most efficient technological shield ever built. In operation since 2011, the Iron Dome is an air defense system capable of detecting, tracking, and intercepting enemy rockets in flight before they fall on civilian areas. What makes this breakthrough extraordinary is its speed, intelligence, and precision. How does it work? The system includes 3 components. Detection and tracking radar, manufactured by Elta Systems. Battle control and threat management center developed by M-Prest Systems. Tamir interceptor missile battery, launched from mobile stations. When a rocket is fired from Gaza, Lebanon, or another enemy zone, Iron Dome's radar detects it within seconds. Its system then calculates the projectile's trajectory. If the rocket heads toward an uninhabited area, it doesn't react. But if it heads toward a civilian zone, it launches a Tamir interceptor that destroys it in mid-air, with an accuracy of over 90%. Each interception occurs within 3 to 6 seconds of the enemy missile being fired. The system is mobile, can be installed in urban areas, military bases, or even ships, and operates day, night, and in all weather conditions. To date, it has intercepted thousands of missiles targeting inhabited areas in Israel, saving countless lives. General Daniel Gold, director of the Iron Dome project at the Israeli Ministry of Defense, stated, "It's not just a defense. It's a sign to the world that the life of an Israeli citizen is sacred and that God has given this nation the wisdom to protect it." Military expert Dr. Uzi Rubin, former head of Israel's Missile Defense Organization, said, "No other country has developed a system as fast, precise, and selective. Iron Dome has redefined modern warfare. It's science, but it's also a miracle." Even US and NATO generals have acknowledged that the system is unparalleled. It's like having an invisible shield over every city. Israel has turned the concept of defense into something almost supernatural. Now, for those who see only with natural eyes, the Iron Dome is advanced technology, but for those with spiritual eyes, it is a prophetic sign of God's care for his people. Israel doesn't just defend itself with weapons, it defends itself with wisdom given from on high. In Psalm 121, verses 4 and 5, it says, "Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper, the Lord is your shade at your right hand." What we see in the Iron Dome isn't just metal, radar, and missiles. It's a visible manifestation of what the Bible declared centuries ago: that God himself would surround Jerusalem with a wall that enemies could not cross. This system not only protects the present, it points to the future, because the true shield of Israel is not iron, but the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who has given his people wisdom to withstand the evil day. Issue 5. The first 3D printed human heart, a heartbeat born from dust. In April 2019, the entire world was shocked when scientists at Tel Aviv University presented something that had never been achieved in the history of medicine. A 3D printed human heart, using real human cells, blood vessels, and tissues completely compatible with the patient. It wasn't an artificial model, it was a living, functioning, beating heart the size of a rabbit. A real organ, not made by nature or formed in a mother's womb, but designed by a biological printer, cell by cell. A breakthrough that marks the beginning of complete regenerative medicine. How was it achieved? The research team, led by Professor Tal Dvir, used the patient's own stem cells combined with biomaterials. The cells were programmed to become cardiac muscle, and the supporting material became the tissues that form arteries, veins, and valves. Using a specialized 3D printer, a complete biological heart was recreated, customized for each person, with no risk of rejection and completely autonomous. Professor Dvir told the international press, "This is the world's first fully printed heart with human cells and blood vessels. It's small, but it's alive." This breakthrough could eliminate the need for transplants, save millions of lives, and change everything we knew about medicine. Until then, medicine could print tissues or simple structures, but never a complete vital organ with vascular architecture. Israel did it first. Now, why is this so important? Every year, thousands of people die waiting for a heart transplant. Many never find a compatible donor. But with this technology, the possibility of creating customized organs for each patient opens up, eliminating the risk of rejection, reducing costs, and speeding up surgical times. Dr. Lior Gepstein, a cardiologist at Sheba Medical Center, said, This breakthrough brings us closer to the day when every patient can receive an organ made from their own cells. It's personalized, restorative, and deeply human medicine. Israel has ushered in a new era, bioprinting human organs, and it all began with a heart. This printed heart doesn't beat on its own, but it announces something greater, that life doesn't come from plastic or technology, but from God. And when He grants wisdom, man can participate in His creative work, not to usurp it, but to reflect it. In Psalm 139, verse 14, it says, "I will give you thanks, for fearfully and wonderfully are your works. I marvel, and my soul knows it very well." The heart is the symbol of life, of will, of love. Israel, by imprinting a heart for the first time in history, reminds us that God is still breathing wisdom into His people, and that today's miracles also take the form of science inspired from heaven. Issue 6. Early detection of Alzheimer's with retinal laser, seeing the disease before it acts. Alzheimer's is one of the most devastating diseases of our time. It steals memory and identity, slowly destroying the mind and dignity of those who suffer from it. Millions of people around the world live under its shadow, and until recently, it could only be diagnosed when it was too late. But in Israel, a group of scientists and doctors developed a technology that is changing that story. A laser eye scan that can detect Alzheimer's in very early stages, even years before the first symptoms appear. How does it work? The retina of the eye is a tissue that forms part of the central nervous system. It is directly connected to the brain. Scientists at Sheba Medical Center and the Tel Aviv-based company Redispec have discovered that in the early stages of Alzheimer's, plaques of beta-amyloid protein accumulate in the brain and retina. Using a hyperspectral spectroscopy scanner, doctors can observe these accumulations through a quick, painless, and non-invasive eye exam. The result: in just 10 minutes, a doctor can tell if a person is developing the disease, even 15 to 20 years before memory loss begins. Professor Igal Rotenstreich, the team's lead ophthalmologist, said, "This isn't just a medical breakthrough, it's a door of hope. Seeing disease before it destroys means we can prevent it, treat it, and save millions of minds." The big question: why is it revolutionary? Until now, Alzheimer's could only be confirmed through expensive brain scans, PET scans, or after death, in autopsies. This new technology allows for accessible, rapid, and risk-free diagnosis, opening up the possibility of preventive treatment in young people before the damage becomes irreversible. Dr. Amit Goel, a neurologist in Tel Aviv, stated, "This type of diagnosis can transform the way we deal with neurodegenerative diseases. Preventing Alzheimer's will no longer be a fantasy, but a scientific reality." This breakthrough reminds us of a profound truth. God sees what man cannot see. He searches the heart and mind, and has given man wisdom to begin to see even diseases before they manifest. In Psalm 139, verse 2, it says, "You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thoughts from afar." Israel, by developing this technology, is participating in that vision, to see evil before it destroys, to anticipate the enemy, and to turn on the light before darkness falls. God continues to give His people the ability to discover the hidden, not only in the spiritual, but also in the physical. And this progress is testimony that wisdom from above not only heals, it also prevents, warns, and prepares. Number 7, nanodrops, eye drops that correct vision without surgery. For centuries, millions of people have relied on glasses or contact lenses to see. In other cases, expensive and invasive laser eye surgery has been the only option to correct problems such as nearsightedness, farsightedness, or presbyopia. But in Israel, a group of scientists has developed something that seems incredible: eye drops with nanotechnology that correct visual defects without the need for surgery or lenses. What are nanodrops? Nanodrops are eye drops containing nanoparticles specially designed to modify corneal refraction. These particles, when absorbed by the surface of the eye, reconfigure how light enters the eyeball, correcting vision errors. This breakthrough was developed by Bar-Ilan University's Institute for Nanotechnology and Advanced Materials in collaboration with Sher Zedek Medical Center in Jerusalem. The procedure is simple. First, using a low-intensity laser, like the one in a modified cell phone, a guided mark is made on the ocular surface. The drops are then applied. The result is partial or complete vision correction, painless, surgical, and with minimal complications. Dr. David Smadja, who led the project, explained, "These drops reshape the surface of the cornea with millimeter precision. We've seen vision improvements close to those achieved with glasses or surgery. This is the beginning of a new era in ophthalmology." Now, what diseases do they correct? Nanodrops have shown promising results in cases of myopia, difficulty seeing far away; hyperopia, difficulty seeing up close; presbyopia, age-related loss of focus, mild astigmatism. Unlike LASIK surgery, this treatment does not cut tissue or introduce foreign elements. With further clinical trials, it is hoped that nanodrops could be prescribed by primary care physicians as a safe and affordable alternative. What Israel is doing is not just a medical innovation. It reflects a deeper biblical principle: God's desire for his people to regain both physical and spiritual sight. In Isaiah chapter 42, verses 6 and 7, "I, the Lord, have called you to demonstrate my justice. I will take you by the hand and protect you, and I will give you to my people, the Israelites, as a symbol of my covenant with them. And you will be a light to guide the nations. You will open the eyes of the blind." These drops remind us that God is still opening eyes, that the Creator who healed the blind with mud now inspires scientists to heal eyes with nanoparticles. What was once impossible without a scalpel now begins with a simple drop. Vision is being restored, and not only physically, but also as a spiritual sign of what he wants to do in this generation, to give clarity, focus, and light to those who have lived in darkness. Issue 8, Breast Cancer Diagnosis, the electronic nose that detects early death. What if cancer could be diagnosed without biopsies, CT scans, or invasive tests? What if all it took was breathing into a small device? That is exactly what Israel has developed, a device called Nanos, an electronic nose, capable of detecting multiple types of cancer such as lung, stomach, prostate, liver, and ovarian through a simple exhalation. How does it work? The device was developed by Professor Hassam Haik of the Israel Institute of Technology, Technion, one of the world's most advanced scientific centers. The Nanos contains nanotechnology chemical sensors that analyze human breath. When a person has cancer, their body produces chemicals called volatile organic compounds, VOCs, which are released when they exhale even before symptoms appear. These compounds leave a unique chemical fingerprint that the device can read in seconds. With a single breath, the system can identify whether a person is developing a specific type of cancer, with clinical accuracy of up to 90%. Professor Haik stated, "Our system doesn't just detect cancer. It can identify which organ it's developing in. It's fast, non-invasive, and accessible. It's like an instant breath biopsy." What types of cancer can it detect? Currently, Nanos has been successfully tested for the early detection of lung cancer, gastric cancer, liver cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer. This represents a radical change in clinical diagnosis, as it allows the disease to be detected when it is still treatable, even before tumors are visible on imaging. Clinical oncologist Dr. Yuri Ben David stated, "Early diagnosis is the difference between life and death. This technology can save millions of lives and prevent the suffering of those who discover the disease when it is too late." Now, this breakthrough isn't just a laboratory marvel. It's a sign from the God who knows the secrets of the body, soul, and spirit. Even before the disease expresses itself, the Creator already knows what is inside. In Hebrews chapter 4, verse 13, it says, "And there is no created thing that is not manifest before him, but all things are naked and open to the eyes of him with whom we must do." Israel has achieved what seemed impossible, to read a man's breath and discover whether death is silently stalking him, and that is grace. Because when science is placed at the service of life, it reflects the heart of the God who came not to condemn, but to save. Issue 9, Extreme Desert Farming, Living on Dead Land with Genetics and Microbes. In the burning sands of the Negev Desert, where nothing grew for centuries, Israel grows food that feeds nations. Where others see barren land, Israel has seen potential. But this miracle wasn't achieved with water alone. It was achieved with inspired science, advanced genetics, soil microbiology, and the conviction that God can make the seemingly impossible flourish. Now, how is it possible to grow crops in the desert? Israel's deserts have saline, hard, and nutrient-depleted soils. Furthermore, the climate is extreme, with scorching heat during the day and cold at night. However, scientists at the Volcani Agricultural Research Center, together with universities such as Ben-Gurion University of the Negev, have achieved something unique, creating seeds that are resistant to heat, salinity, and drought. They have genetically modified certain crops to grow in brackish water and have even engineered plants that thrive in soils where no plant would survive naturally. In addition, they have introduced specific bacteria and microorganisms into the soil, which transform toxic minerals into usable nutrients, regenerating the soil and activating agricultural ecosystems in dead zones. Professor Edo Barziv, an expert in water biotechnology, explained, "We're not just growing plants, we're regenerating the soil. The soil is being healed from within." Today, Israel grows tomatoes, dates, watermelons, melons, olives, wine grapes, and medicinal herbs in the desert. And with these crops, it exports food to more than 30 countries, including Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Why is this so amazing? Because it's not about importing good soil, it's about transforming bad soil. What other countries do with fertilizers, Israel does with living science. Instead of changing the soil, they change the seed. Instead of fleeing the desert, they conquer it with intelligence. Dr. Yossi Kaufman, an agricultural engineer, declared, "The desert is not an obstacle. It is an opportunity to demonstrate that, with wisdom, even dead land can bear fruit." This breakthrough isn't just an agricultural innovation, it's a prophetic fulfillment. God had already said that the desert land would flourish and that Israel would return to farming as in ancient times. And that's happening. Amos chapter 9 verse 14 says, "And I will bring back the captivity of my people Israel, and they shall build the desolate cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine, and make gardens and eat their fruit." In Ezekiel chapter 36 verses 34 and 35 we also read, "And the desolate land will be tilled, instead of having remained desolate in the eyes of all who passed through. And they will say, 'This land that was desolate has become like the Garden of Eden. And these cities that were desolate, wasted, and ruined are fortified and inhabited.'" Dear listener, what was once dry dust is now life, a vineyard, and a blessing. Desert agriculture is not just an Israeli invention. It is a sign that God is restoring the land together with his people. Where there was nothing, now there is fruit. Where there was death, there is hope. Where there was desert, now there is a fulfilled promise. Issue 10. Medical Artificial Intelligence. Machines that see better than the human eye. For decades, medical diagnosis has relied on the eyesight and experience of doctors. But even the most trained eyes can fail. A small tumor can go undetected. A mistake in reading an X-ray can cost a life. In Israel, this is changing radically. Thanks to wisdom and innovation, artificial intelligence systems have been developed that can detect diseases in medical images more accurately than doctors themselves. Now, how does it work? Israel has produced several medical artificial intelligence platforms, including Zebra Medical Vision and ADOC, two Israeli companies that have revolutionized radiology. These platforms analyze thousands of X-rays, computed tomography, CT scans, and MRIs in seconds. They use algorithms trained on millions of images from real patients. With this, they can identify signs of fractures, tumors, aneurysms, heart disease, internal bleeding, breast, lung, liver cancer, and more. While a radiologist can take 10 to 30 minutes to review an image, Israeli AI does it in less than 30 seconds, and with a smaller margin of error than humans. Dr. Elad Wallach, founder of IDOC, explained, "Our system doesn't replace the doctor, it enhances him. It's like having a second mind working day and night without fatigue, to not miss any danger signals." What is the real impact? With this technology, thousands of lives have been saved that would have been lost due to human error, medical fatigue, or delays in care. Hospitals using Israeli AI have reported a 50% reduction in late diagnoses and a 30% improvement in emergency room efficiency. In countries like the United States, Germany, and Japan, This Israeli technology is already being implemented, and in some hospitals, it is considered a mandatory tool in emergency rooms. Professor Jacob Asuta, clinical director in Tel Aviv, said, "This isn't just technology, it's digital discernment. AI sees what our eyes sometimes can't, and it does so to preserve life. This reminds us that there are things the natural eye cannot see, but the Spirit of God can. And when He gives wisdom to man, even machines can be used to protect, heal, and restore." God continues to give intelligence, not to exalt man, but to fulfill His purpose. And in Israel, once again, we see how the wisdom from above manifests itself in the most advanced science, with a single objective: to protect the life He created. Dear listeners, these 10 breakthroughs, 10 signs, and 10 wonders that the world beholds in awe, we recognize as footprints of the living God working powerfully among His people. In Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 29, it says, "The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our children forever, so that we may observe all the words of this law." Dear listener, today is the day to open our eyes, not only to Israel's progress, but to the God of Israel. He is the source of all wisdom. He is the one who reveals the hidden. He is the one who gives life to the dry bone. He is the one who gives water in the desert. May this wisdom not be merely wonder. May it be repentance, because the same God who inspired Israel to create these wonders wants to do a work in you. Of course, here's an improved version that maintains the same idea, but with more polished and warm language. We have reached the end of this video. If it was a blessing to you, we invite you to give it a like. Subscribe to the channel and share it with your loved ones, so that they too may receive this word. We'll meet again in the next video. May God bless you abundantly.